Laura, thanks very much. Laura right there out of London with your First Word News. Now, the Bitcoin Club is getting bigger. MassMutual is the latest member to join, buying $100 million for its general investment fund. The digital currency has surged more than 270% since March, hitting an all-time high last month. It looked like it was on course to reach $20,000, but it's been down every single day this week. Joining us now is Antoni Trenchev, co-founder and managing partner of Nexo. Antoni, I got to ask first about the price action. $20,000, a big round number, looks like a ceiling it's bounced off of a couple of times. What do you think about that?
Matt, Anna, Christmas came early this year. Bitcoin is giving you a great entry point for you to purchase some Bitcoin just before liftoff.
How much
so you think this is
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, so you think this is just another buying opportunity? And I know in the past on this program you've forecast Bitcoin to rise to $50,000. We've seen a lot of reasons why people would want to get in. The PayPal news to me is the biggest. What do you think the next impetus is going to be? What do you think the next big news for Bitcoin will be?
Well, first of all, there has been some rumor about last-minute legislation from the Trump administration. I think that this has spooked the market a little bit, and that combined with some profit-taking is the reason for this slight correction we're seeing right now. As soon as the air clears, and I can tell you what this regulatory changes would look like, is going to be more anti-money laundering policies, more know your customers policies, just like in the banking sector. And ultimately, this is going to be a very, very bullish sign for Bitcoin, and that will set the stage for the next leg up. As you pointed out, I made a prediction about 50,000 by the end of the year. At least nobody lost money who followed my advice, but I do think that this is a reasonable price target even for Q1 or Q2 of next year.
So maybe it's the regulatory threat taking the edge off right now, Antoni. What about the retail investor? We've got a story this morning on the Bloomberg talks about how wealthy family offices are increasingly getting involved with Bitcoin. But what about the retail investor? Because I know that is something that you watch out for. And in 2017, retail euphoria was something that was maybe blamed for Bitcoin getting a bit too expensive.
Yes, well, this is a very different rally, and we see this on the Nexo platform because we have like a 360 degrees of the market, so to speak. Right now, since the summer, we've seen retail, we see institutional investors, we see high net worth individuals and family offices positioning themselves and purchasing Bitcoin and other crypto, which is very different from what we had 2017 and 2018, where this was a really retail-driven frenzy, where everybody was maxing out on leverage and credits to buy Bitcoin. This has not yet happened. Like some of the retail has come in, but nowhere near what we saw 2017, 2018. And this is usually the sign you're looking for sort of irrational exuberance, to borrow from Greenspan, and we haven't seen that. So this rally is fundamentally much more sound.
You know, for me, I mean, I know the story that we have on the Bloomberg today. It's one of the most read stories. It talks about family offices getting in for a large part because they think it's a convenient store of value. And indeed, you've seen a lot of funds even rotating out of gold and into digital currencies. But for me, it's really the transactional value of Bitcoin that's important. And I think PayPal moved us closer to that, right? I can now actually buy stuff with Bitcoin on PayPal. Firms like yours were already helping people, in a way, finance transactions with Bitcoin as well. When do you think we get closer to really using Bitcoin in a day-to-day way?
Well, the narrative has shifted somewhat from the early days where we were thinking that we're going to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin. Now it's more of a store of value narrative. That's why we see the rotation out of gold and into Bitcoin. And who could possibly blame the investors? $1 invested 10 years ago in gold yields you now $1.17, whereas a decade ago, if you put $1 into Bitcoin, you're too close to 20 million right now. So that speaks volumes in and onto itself. So Bitcoin is exactly this. It's a better version of gold. It's very easily transferable, as you said. It is easily and cheaply stored when compared to gold. And this has shifted the narrative for transactional, for transactions on a daily basis. You will have to utilize something like, well, sorry to toot our own horn here, but Nexo's offering where you can pay with your card and keep the crypto assets that secures your loan at the same time, which is the best of both worlds.
So Antoni, I was going to take us on actually to link to this conversation. Is that then store of value? Is that the social purpose of Bitcoin? There's a lot of talk this year in financial markets broadly across all kinds of asset classes about social purpose, about ESG investing and other connected matters. If you had to define the social purpose of Bitcoin, what would you say it is?
It is to defend us from the macroeconomic realities in a situation where just this year, due to the COVID crisis, we had trillions of new dollars pumped into the system. There's going to be a race next year and in the years to come for scarce assets, for hard currencies. So I think Bitcoin fits very nice into this narrative. I wouldn't rule out gold just yet. Its ability to persevere is amazing, but this is the social purpose, to store your value in this flood of cheap money and expensive monetary policies.
Antoni, I got to ask, Ethereum seems to be the one alternative that wealthy investors really prefer to Bitcoin. Is that the main runner-up or the main challenger, you think, to Bitcoin and the world digital currencies?
It is a very good alternative. Well, I wouldn't say alternative, but a complement to any crypto portfolio. It has performed extremely well, mostly due to the DeFi craze, so to say, of this past year. The thing is that with the 2.0 launch of their platform, it's gotten a little bit like the Brexit situation. At some point, you just don't care anymore and can't follow it. You just, say at some point, just tell me when it's done and when I can utilize it. But the dev team there is amazing and they are bringing great solutions. So ETH, definitely a great investment and slightly cheaper on a dollar basis for those that have this psychological barrier of buying Bitcoin when it's so close to the all-time highs.
Thanks so much, Antoni. Really good to speak to you. Antoni Trenchev, thanks for joining us, co-founder and managing partner of Nexo. Thanks for coming in this morning. Coming up on the program, just in the last few minutes, we've had confirmation from the European Council president. He's been tweeting that EU leaders have committed to a 55% emissions cut by 2030. That is against 1990 levels. We will go to Brussels and get the latest next. This is Bloomberg.